Hey, Jessica.
Hello,
Welcome to A Right to Shine.
how are
It's been,
you?
I have everybody. I want you to know that I have been knowing Jessica for 5+ years. I'm going to say we met by her purchasing one of my T-shirts, and it was the Think It, Believe It, Act It. It was that shirt, and her and I connected. We stayed connected. She was so aware of what was going on that I had not met a Caucasian woman, and I'm going to keep it just like that, who was so down to earth on what was actually happening to our race and was free to talk about it. And her and I connect, and we stayed connected. We started the Million Mom March page on Facebook where it said Our Sons Matter. We were posting on that page. We kind of got a little sidetracked into our own life, and the
The
page
world.
disappeared. Yeah, different worlds, and the page disappeared. I called her one day and I said, "What happened to our page?" Because I wanted to post something, and she was like, "I don't know, Kim. What happened?" I said, "I don't know. I can't find it. I don't know if I deleted it. She sure enough didn't delete it, but she started the page. So even with her starting the page, it should still be out there.
Yeah, I would
Even
never.
though I might have deleted me, which I don't think I would do. I don't. I
Well,
know. I don't think
you
I
would have.
do. I
It should
think
have
that they.
notified me.
I think because of what we were posting on that page became offensive. They
Hmm.
couldn't do anything but remove it, and I think that's what they did. They
It
didn't reach
happens to a
out
lot
to
of
neither
people.
one of us or anything, but they just removed our page. But
Hmm.
we still stayed in contact no matter what. So Jessica, I'm going to turn I'm going to shut up. And I'm going to turn this over to you a little bit. I love your shirt. I need to get one of them. Is those one of yours? Because I need to
No,
get one
I
of
don't.
those.
I don't make them. I support
Well,
Black-owned
you know
businesses.
I do.
But I will. It's Mahogany Mommy's Mama. I'll send you her URL, but you can find her on Instagram.
Okay.
I
So
I
she
support
had,
Black.
because I don't want to take somebody else's logo,
So
you
this
know.
one, I'll have to look, but I have time. I'm a statement T person because half the time we know these men are going to try to look at our breasts. So if they want to look at my breast, I'm going to give them something to read. Is how I feel. Um, so educate them a little bit. I'll. It's Mahogany Mommies is who I get most of my statement tees through.
Okay.
This one I got. I don't even know if they're around anymore, but it was right after Ahmaud Arbery was lynched, and I really, I was just trying to get out there and trying to like just make a statement. Like I just don't understand, and I've worn statement tees, but again,
I like that. We need to legalize being black. Maybe we could find that out and put that in the fashion show, because what we're going to have the different types of T-shirts in the
I have
fashion show.
several. Yeah,
And
I
I
have.
think that that would be another phenomenal one as
Mahogany
well.
Mommies might be somebody who's willing to participate in your fashion show. She
We
does.
have actually my daughter has, I think, two Hispanic
Hmm.
teenagers who want to join, but I want to get some Caucasian kids as well. I want to see how I
You
can
could
get
live
them
down there
in.
because I put my babies in it. Well, Addie, she's my only white one.
Yeah.
Uh, the world does not see my son as half white; they see him as black. So,
Right. Right. That's
the
exactly
but
right.
yeah, I'll send you the information on it. I'll post it
Okay.
on my page too, so if anybody wants
Okay. That.
to
Oh
know.
yeah. When we get the flyer out, most definitely, please post it so people around here will know what's going on as far as the show and stuff. So tell me, I know. So how many kids do we have?
Well, I have two biological, but I am a stepmother as well to one that we have full time and three older ones, so a total of six. Um, I have Adeline and Andrew who are mine, and then we have
Hmm.
Sierra, who's my 13-year-old stepdaughter, who's every week on, week off. And then the other
Okay.
three are grown and over 18, so 18 and older.
Yeah. So they're gone.
They're gone.
They're gone. I know that's right. And you joined a sorority.
I did. It's a military sorority. I didn't go to college. I joined the military, and I always wanted to be a Delta, but unfortunately, not going to. I
I
can't do it, but I
know,
could. But I could do mine. Um, and it was something that Cap Epsilon Psi Military Sorority Incorporated um, is. is an all race sorority, but as I know from doing lots of research, in Black communities, sororities and fraternities are a major point of networking
Yep.
in places where you're not getting as much networking as being Black, African American, person of color. So my sorority, though it's not, it doesn't have a race identifier. The majority of my sisters are Black, and my sorority name is Value Added. And I just crossed in February, the end of February, and it was beautiful. I'm proud to be a part of something that I've always wanted to do. I cried, I bawled like a baby.
She asked me, we was talking in the chat one night, and she said, what do you think about me joining a sorority? And I was like, yeah, why not? I said, what is it? And then she told me what it was. I was like, yes, most definitely. Because
and I didn't want to come across as a white savior, because I feel like right now we have a lot of that happening.
But do you know, but the thing is, Jessica, we gonna need white people to help with this mess.
But there's a line that I feel like so many, I told you this earlier today when we talked on the phone. I feel like a lot of people have woken up, are more woke, especially, when you look at the last year with the pandemic. But before the pandemic hit, we had Ahmaud Arbery, who was murdered.
Yeah.
And we had Breonna Taylor. We had George Floyd, who was murdered in front of our eyes. Had the world not been at a standstill, where they had to sit at home on their behinds, it wouldn't have mattered, and you wouldn't have had Chauvin getting convicted of 3 felonies.
Yeah.
And I feel that in order for this to have become such a pivotal movement that it is right now, and Black Lives Matter getting the momentum, we wouldn't have been able to do it without people sitting at home, not working, not avoiding crap, not turning off the TV because it's too hard to look at.
Right.
Because I feel that that's what happens. People are like,
all across the world.
Girl, like it was
all across the world.
I quit working because of this pandemic. I worked in healthcare and ophthalmology, and with COVID, my priority was home. And with that, I wanted to be out on the streets. I wanted to be protesting, boots on the ground. But because of COVID and being scared, I decided to put my money where my mouth is. I was donating. I was signing petitions. My Facebook page. It is nothing but making white people uncomfortable. That is my goal in life.
That's what she does. She makes white people. She does. She makes white people very uncomfortable.
Because
and they need to be.
They should be.
Need to be.
They're too comfortable. And I'm a person who I hate stereotypes. So I live my my high school teenage dreams of having a system in my car. I blast, all 90s hip hop and R&B, because when I go through the grocery parking lot, people look, and I know what their first thought is. Oh, it's another Black guy.
Yep.
And the mind blown look that I get on their face, like, oh wait, that's a suburban housewife.
That's how I look listening to country music.
Right. And I live in Trump town. Like, I live in the country. Yesterday I went to the gas station. I've got my Black Lives Matter mask on. Like I said, I stand 6 foot tall. I put my shoulders back and I walk with pride. And not one person comes up to me. But I'm waiting for it. Like
they're not going to.
They will, but they stare me down, and I do the same thing. I'm not stupid. I know what I'm doing. I'm provoking reaction, because that's the point. If you're that stirred up about Black Lives Matter that you're so angry that you just want to yell all lives matter, I'm glad we agree.
Right.
But they do.
Exactly. All lives does matter. But right now, but the focus is on this color right here.
Right. And I watching CNN the other day, me and my news and politics. Chris Cuomo was on. He's like, it's not going to matter until they start hunting down your white children. It's not going to matter. And all I kept saying was, but they are. We have mass shootings on a daily. They are hunting them down, and they still don't care. They still don't care. It's not just, when we're looking at gun violence and we're looking at racial inequality and systematic.
Only difference is the equality.
Exactly. And the fact that people they're so close. They're so close. But they still, it is
It
I could
is.
go on and on.
It
And
is. I at my part-time job, I'm not going to name it, but some people know, some people don't. But at my part-time job, I get to talk to many people, lots of people, different people, and I bring up all types of subjects. I really do. Topics is my thing. So it was a guy that came in the other day. He had a Black Lives Matter mask on, and tall, white, Caucasian, young guy. And I said to him, I said, I like that. Right. And he said, yeah, he said, but you know what I don't like? Why are we still having this conversation?
right.
And I was like, whoa. He said, that's how I'm feeling. Why are we still going through this with Black people?
Because white people, and again, this is my opinion. White people are afraid that the minute that they don't have the leg up, that they won't be as special. That because they've made this system to be okay, well, by whether it's their name, it's living in a small town, it's old money, whether it's their race, like they know white men aren't anything at this point. When you allow everybody to truly be equal, you have to have something that makes you better. You
Right.
have to stand out. When I look at my Black friends, my women, men, non-identifying, I feel that they come to, like, Black women are the most educated in this country.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell me
Mm-hmm.
that they shouldn't have all the jobs in this country. Like, it does not make sense, like, in my brain. But the fact that white people, they're afraid. They're afraid. Like, you could hear people say,
They are.
well, if we give
They
Black
are
people
afraid.
the same rights or treat them the same as us, they're going to want us to, they're going to do the same thing to us that we did to them. That's the truth.
Yeah.
And I feel that they need to stop. I don't know one Black person who's saying I want to own white people. First off, I know more Black people than not don't want to be around white people because they're a threat. So this idea that they're so afraid that.
So what we supposed to do? Hunt them down in their houses and put some shackles on them and make them go out in the field. Make them go out in the field and pick what cotton. Ain't no more damn cotton. We ain't got shit out there no more. We ain't even got no animals.
Well, the thing is,
We're about to have.
You can even hear the same thing when it comes to sexual assault. When white men get around gay men, their instinct is, I don't want them to touch me, because their instinct is to do that even to them. There is this thing about, and my husband is white, God bless his soul. I don't identify much as Caucasian anymore. I've never checked Caucasian. I've always checked other. My mother raised me to do that. But it's sad because they're being challenged for the first time in their life. I'm seeing more men wake up to it. I do feel that social media, TikTok especially, has like really truly opened those like kind of closed eyes, took the blinders off. And even now they're being censored on TikTok, on social media.
They are.
When it's not going to stop, because I think I'm like an elder millennial or a zennial. I don't know anymore. I'm just who I am. My husband's a Gen Xer, and I look at the younger generation and I see this, like, I was always raised military mom, military dad, sit down, be quiet. My mother divorced my dad because she found out how racist he was. So I was raised by a woman who was very strong in her mindset of what she will and won't tolerate. He didn't show his true colors. This is a man who raised me, not my biological dad. But I feel like our generation is starting to say, you know what? No, we're not doing this anymore. Your status quo does not work for me and my friends.
That's right.
Your status quo only benefits you old white men. And unfortunately, until they're dead or out of power, until we vote them out, until
That's
we keep staying active. Right now, we see all the voter suppression laws that are coming in place. Michigan right now, where I live, they just pushed some more legislation. As we know, Georgia, as they've always been, but even more. I think North Carolina, aren't they trying to do something as well?
They trying to do something, yeah.
It's this idea that in order for them to win and keep that power, they've got to rig the game, but yet they can't see that.
And that's exactly what they're trying to do, but it's not going to work.
No, because
It's
we're
not going
aware.
to work. They didn't,
Right?
and what shocked them was that people actually came out and voted this
And
time.
voted.
In a way that,
What the hell is that? What is a vote? What that mean?
and let's be honest, black men voting is major, because for so long, black men have been treated as if their vote didn't matter because that's what they were told.
That's
And
right.
then
And
the
the
prison
more that
system
they
has a lot to do
continue,
with that as well, because once they have a felony, you can't vote.
Exactly.
And so
a lot
the
of
whole
these,
prison reform.
well, and that's why they're putting them in the system. Is to
Mhm.
it is
that's why.
the whole
That is
system
exactly,
is to keep
that
it.
is exactly why.
And there are some states now that have moved to, after certain felonies, like they can actually vote, like after a couple of years or after they paid their fines. Like there are some
I
states
think
that
like
are
7 or
out
something like
there
that.
trying to do right. Then there are states out there that are actively trying to just keep their knees on their neck.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
literally, it's this idea that, like, what I don't understand is how people who are on social media can even pretend to not see it. The fact that there are laws that are being put in place in Florida that you could run over protesters for doing their First Amendment right. They just signed that. So you're telling me that if I were a
It's
resident
okay
of
for me to to hit someone.
Yeah, they made it. DeSantis signed a law on, like, I want to say it was Thursday or Friday, where actually no, it was the same day we got the verdict of Chauvin. It was the same day. He signed a law that said that if there are protesters in the street, that as a civilian driving my vehicle, I can run them over. Well, what they need to do is be prepared, because there are a lot of MAGA rallies down there, and Florida is a stand your ground state. So therefore, if a vehicle comes at me and I got my gun on me, guess what? Are they gonna have the same energy if I am driving a vehicle and I've got somebody, waving a MAGA flag in my face, and they also said, I think it's 9 people or more, you can be charged with a felony. Like, actively putting laws out there that just are against even your constitutional rights. And where are all these constitutionalists who are like, my Second Amendment? The Second Amendment doesn't mean anything if you don't have your First Amendment. Like,
right.
It really is null and void at this point. Like,
Exactly.
let's focus on that.
Exactly.
And it's sad. It makes me sad because my son is going to be 11 this year. And I remember on his birthday, George Floyd was killed 5 days before his birthday. And I remember writing his birthday post, as us moms do. And I said, is this the year that he's no longer a baby? Is this the year that the world now sees my son as a threat? Like, is this the year? Like, and I'll be honest, I was naive, even as woke as I was my whole life, with my mother, who, God rest her soul, always taught me to just believe in the person. The race is understand where they've come from, but love them for who they are, because you might miss out on so many great opportunities in life.
Right.
But as his mom, I didn't realize what the hell I was signing up for. When I became pregnant with him, I saw it firsthand with his bio, he's not in the picture for other reasons. I saw it happen. Like, I remember driving in the car with him, and he was driving stupid. It is what it is. And he got pulled over. He got yanked out of the car, face to the pavement, arrested him, threw him in the back of a cop car. And that police officer offered me a ride home and lectured me the whole way home about dating black men. And for me, like, I love the person. I'm not somebody who, like I said, my husband is white, Lithuanian, actually. Like, I'm not somebody who is like, yes, I want to be with a black man. I want to, like, as the term snow bunny, I'm not that, right? I'm just a person who I love who I love. But when I got pregnant with my son, even for the longest time, I didn't realize just how much I was going to have to worry even more, right? Like, that level of, like, moving into a new neighborhood.
That was one of the reasons I think I relocated down here to North Carolina, was when those 5 guys in New York was arrested. That's when I moved down here because I said I cannot have that happen to my son because I know my son is an outgoing person. He likes hanging out with his friends, etc. I could see that same thing happening to him. So I made a conscious decision, and what's bad about it and what's messed up about it is racism still exists to the point where I'm relocating so I can give my son a better lifestyle.
Because we both know you
Just
don't want
less
to drive
I
racism.
left my job of 14 years at the time, okay, just so I can make sure that
And you
my
know what?
child sees 30, sees 50, sees 90, you know, and that's a sad situation, but I
It
did
is.
it. I did it. And then now that we have gotten to this place and we still going through the same exact shit,
Mhm.
I'm saying he's grown now,
And it's
and
even
I
worse.
started realizing some things. He get up, he go to work, he do his thing. He is a man, okay? He hangs out with his friends. He don't want to be by himself. Why should he be? He's I think men who stay home don't go out often because they don't want to. They do not want to get pulled over by a cop for unknown reasons.
Well, because
You know what I'm saying? And I'm fearful for him. And he's a grown A man, and I'm still telling him, please call me every day. I gotta hear your voice. When
My
you
son
walk
is
in that
run
house,
outside without
I
me.
gotta hear that voice.
Right.
Oh,
And that's the thing that, I feel like I've always been aware because I've been a part of, especially in like the military community, like I've always been transparent in who I am, right? This is who I am. And it's not because I'm newly woke. So having these conversations, like I've always been aware of it, but feeling it, oh, and I think that what you're seeing now is a lot of white mothers who have, white children who are out there hitting the streets with their friends protesting. And now guess what? Those same white friends are going to jail because they're
that's
hanging
right.
out with the wrong
That's
people
right. Right.
based off
Right.
of what the cops believe. And
Mm-hmm.
and so you're starting to see more and more people wake up to this idea that holy shit, like wait a second, it took all of this, like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think,
It did.
like I
And it's
have
going to take some more.
It's going to take a whole lot more.
well, and we right when as they were reading the verdict, we have, Micaiah Bryant, like let's be like my husband and I, we always were trying to look at the situation. I'm like, okay, like as a military
I've been
standpoint,
trying to look at that situation two
so
different ways.
from a
I'm
military
pro
standpoint,
cop, pro child. You know?
here's the thing though, is he immediately got to the scene, and I understand this idea of she had a knife. We have all seen situations, whether it's mass shootings, whether it's, no matter what people didn't realize in the beginning when that video came out is that that person that was in the pink was a grown ass woman. That girl that had a knife was 16. They were threatening her with a knife. Ohio is a stand your ground state. They showed up to the scene. He yelled, what, 3 times? But I know for me with PTSD from the military, I've got tunnel vision. I'm not going to hear shit. Nothing you're saying. If I'm in fight or flight mode, and that's what I don't understand is he had the opportunity to pull a taser. He had an opportunity to try
They
to.
say he was too far away.
No, he could
Well,
have.
that goes back to the training that they have for police officers. They're not trained to wound, they're trained to kill.
Exactly.
So when they pull, at this point, no offense, I'm trying to figure out why they even have tasers because they're not trained to use it.
So
right. But then now you thought you had a taser, but you don't use the gun.
Here's the thing.
No, she knew she had a gun, but that's a different story.
England,
hey, Tracy.
the UK does not carry guns anymore. My stepdad is a police officer in the UK. They do not carry guns for that very reason. So I've never been to police officer training. I'm not going to pretend to know much, but what I've seen from whether it's documentaries or what police officers are talking about is they always have these like pop-ups or it's the video, right? And every single time they're trained to grab their gun immediately. It's never the cross. It's never to the taser. It's never the least lethal force. It's always going to be, why is the gun on your dominant side? Why is it easier for you to grab your gun than it is for you to grab a less lethal weapon?
Exactly.
And I'm not saying that, I would know what to do in that situation, but I do know as a military member what I would do in that situation. And I go through many steps before I even think about firing my weapon. So if
Mhm.
I, as a military member, have to be trained to not kill a potential enemy in a war zone, why aren't our police officers doing the same thing for
Right.
civilians and citizens in the streets
Right.
of our country? Why are they not being held to the same standard? Why are they so content with having bad apples? Like one apple rots the whole tree.
Sure
Like
does.
one bad apple, like you're done. Why are they accepting that? Why, if you don't want the bad apples, why aren't you pushing for? I on TikTok, some guy was live. I asked him as a police officer. I said, I'm not trying to come at you sideways. I want to know, like, how would you feel if we ended qualified immunity and required you guys all to carry insurance, liability insurance? You know what his answer was? I would leave. And I said, well, that's the fucking point. That's the point. If you don't want to carry liability insurance like our doctors and our nurses, like
Right.
our small businesses,
That's right.
like many other people, you
That's
don't want
right.
to carry insurance for what? Because it's too expensive, because you've had too many write-ups, because you've used your excessive force on too many occasions. So that's the point. We don't want you if you don't want insurance. Because if I, as a medical professional, if I get a license, I have to carry insurance on myself.
That's right.
Have
That's
them
right.
get a license.
We
Require
definitely have to. We definitely have to do something much better than
Well,
what they're
now
doing to
people
train
are.
these doggone cops because it's not working. It is
What they
not
need
working.
to do is pass that
Grab,
Georgia
shoot, and
bill.
kill. That's all I see. That's in my mind.
Because when you're automatically deemed
Grab,
a
shoot.
threat, when your skin
That's what
color
they
is the
say.
weapon.
That's what it's supposed to be. That's what
Well,
it's supposed to be.
but when your skin color is the weapon, you can never disarm yourself.
Me and my friend was talking about that today, this morning, and he said, and I was telling him just what I said about, it's really sad that we got to tell our kids that they got to put their hands up on the steering wheel. If the police is following them, okay, the police say, put your hands up on the steering wheel. Okay, hands up there. But then he tell you to open up the door.
What do you do?
Well, I honestly, I would just stick my hands out the window.
Well, I told my son, I said the other, like Daniel and I were talking, and I said, first off, like I know people that created, there's like where you put your insurance card and your license.
Oh, like in a
right?
little
And you
goodie
attach
bag?
you attach it to the air vent. And I was like, okay, well, I got to get that. Like, okay, well, and I was telling Daniel, because again, we're both military. I said, so what I'm going to tell my son to say is, my father is Master Sergeant Romanosky. This is his phone number. Like, does that trigger something? Like, I'm
So
not.
that's
I'm not
how you pronounce your last name,
Romanosky. Yeah. But it's like what is, when your skin is the weapon? How are you not the threat? How do you minimize the threat? Right. And I don't know where to like my son.
I don't either.
I'm transparent with him. I'm very, we don't really celebrate the 4th of July in our house. We always celebrate Juneteenth. So I'm a family who has always been very, especially with him being half Black. I think it's very important that he knows where he has come from. And this idea that I don't like my son to go outside without me or my husband is terrifying. And we live in the country. I couldn't imagine living in the city and the trauma that
I live in the city, and I have a tracking device on my son. And I live in a diverse neighborhood, but I'm just that scared.
But just like I said, my son is a grown man, and I'm still telling him to call me when you get home at night.
And every video we just saw with, I think they just released in Elizabeth City.
Yes. So what happened with that?
On his head.
They were serving a warrant, I believe.
Yeah. But they say they were, which they probably were. But he had his back turned, his phone on his head, and he was on the phone with dispatch. Like, he was actively on the phone with 911, and the cop said that it was a gun. It was a cell phone. If you can't tell the difference with your flashlight, that it's a freaking
in the daylight. In the daylight.
In the daylight. Like, he was in the daylight. So yeah,
that's why they wouldn't release that camera, that footage. That's why they wouldn't release it.
And they had to, because then I think somebody got audio of the 911 call, and it was released that he was actually on the phone with 911 telling them that he did not have a gun, and they pumped 10 bullets in this man. 10. And it is just this idea that, again, it goes back to, if the color of your skin is automatically the weapon, how do you disarm yourself? How do you disarm yourself? You can't. So, and then it's like, well, what do you get? Police don't stop crime from happening. We know that. Police get there after the crime's committed. Community leaders stop crime, because I know when I was younger and we were out of the military and I was living in not the greatest neighborhood, I know who to go to. I know who to go to if I needed something figured out. It wasn't the police. So this idea that cops stop stuff, like and again, I'm just one person, but I don't know where to start. Actually, I do. They need to pass the George Floyd police reforming bill that's on the Senate floor that they refused to bring because of the filibuster. They passed a Stop Asian Hate bill before they did anything about Black community.
Right, because
they did.
Why are we not talking about it together? You know why? Because this is nothing against Asians. They bring a lot of money to this country.
Yeah.
And so do Black people. They just don't respect it. And when Black people stop shopping at places and they actually go on that blackout that people have been talking about for so long, if they're going to realize
that's exactly what we need to do.
See, I've been trying to organize it for a while. I think that the problem is there are so many people who you can't help but feel helpless. I feel helpless and I'm white. You know, like I feel traumatized and I'm watching this as a mother to a Black son and I'm white. Like I understand that my privilege allows me the ability to tap out a little bit. I get that. That's why I do this. This is why I wear shirts like this, because I don't need to tap out. I want to challenge people constantly. And it's just I don't know how to fix it, because I was
having to kind of, I guess, veer off subject but on subject. I was actually having a conversation with one of my white friends that I went to school with, and he had brought up a subject about white guilt. And basically at how he feels like sometimes people make him feel bad for being white. Not as equivalent as it is of being, uncomfortable with being Black per se, but
then
we actually had a conversation about that. It was an interesting conversation.
His privilege, because he should feel something. He should feel bad. We're attached to that, and until you recognize that your ancestors were a part of that did that, it's not that we need to pay for the sins of our ancestors. Nobody's saying that. What people want is to be treated right. And if you are a white person, you're like, you guys are making me feel guilty. This is bullshit. No, you should feel guilty. You should, because when you start feeling guilty and you start feeling other emotions than just content, that's when change happens.
Yeah.
But I do understand the guilt of feeling bad. Like I feel horrible. I feel like, but that doesn't make me step back. If anything, it pushes me forward. And that's where that's where it's hard for me, because again, I've been on this journey for a long time. I don't like, because there are a lot more white people, woke white people. I don't want to be in that lump of the white saviors, but racism was not created by Black people. Racism was created by white people. We created these systems, and in order for these systems to go away, white people need to step up and need to demand the change, because we have seen for so long. This has been like, it's just stupid. Like, but we're at the point now where it's gonna stop being about MLK's civil rights movement, and we're gonna be entering into Malcolm X. Yeah, it's a choice. Yeah, because we're done. We're tired. Yeah. I know plenty of white people who are like, you know what? Let's go. I'm ready. We're ready. Because by any means necessary.
And like I said earlier, that's what it's going to take. True, we can stand out with our Black Lives Matter and everything else, but until we have that white support, we have to have the white support in order for things to make for change.
But you got to have the Black community willing to accept the support. A lot of times people feel some type of way about the ally, and I don't understand that either.
Well, I will speak for myself this kind of goes when I was talking to you, Kim, about joining a sorority. And and not wanting to come across as the white savior. And I was talking to some of my mentors, and they were wondering, okay, Jessica, what made you do this? And I said, well, first, the reason why who I am, the person that I am, and why I feel comfortable doing it is because I respect the standoffish feeling. I respect a Black woman looking at me and going, why are you here? I know that there's going to be tests. I appreciate those tests and I respect that, because in order for them to feel safe, I have to prove to them that I'm a safe space.
Exactly.
Because for so long,
right,
we haven't been.
That's
so
right.
So for me, and this is speaking of from Jessica's point of view, we as a white community have to understand that just because we're woke now doesn't mean we're safe. Doesn't mean that we're a safe space, because we have so many implicit biases that we all have learned.
Yeah.
That until we are actually truthfully talking about it in a way that makes people uncomfortable, we're not a safe space. And understanding why we're not a safe space. Because when I look at history and I see Black men being treated horribly, but I see Black women being treated worse.
Yeah.
When I look at healthcare and I look at the things that are continuing to go on, and I look at the fact that we still have no justice for Breonna Taylor, no police officers being arrested, and the cop that killed her is now being charged with sexual assault crimes. So this idea that there are good cops, I'm waiting for the ones to step forward, because I have no idea where they are. But Black women are treated even worse than Black men. And until we actually recognize that we're not safe, that we have to prove that we're safe. And I don't know how to do that unless I'm in a one-on-one situation where people.
When are you going to run for political office?
I actually I have some people out here who want me to run in City Hall.
I remember you mentioned that. You mentioned that. And I think you should do that. And I told you that. I think you should do that. Because they need to hear some of those ears that's on the fence need to hear your voice. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because they're undecided because of the color of their skin. So when they hear someone else of the color of their skin say the things that you're saying, then they're more inclined, especially the generation now, to move towards that side. Because even now with the kids that I have and the kids that I've had within the past 5-6 years, they will say, but Miss Walker, why did such a thing happen? And I would have to go back into the history, explain how all that took place. And they're like, but I don't even see color. I said, exactly.
This new generation really doesn't.
Exactly.
This Gen Alpha, I'm scared of them. Like, I'm terrified.
They say it in a minute. I don't see color. But I don't see sexual preference.
Miss Kim, I'm gonna be real with you. I hate that term. I don't see color. And the reason why is because when you say I don't see color, you choose to not see somebody else's struggle. And I was raised to say that. And it took me probably until.
But I've had grown people say the most.
And I have too. I've actually had people on Facebook.
I didn't live back then with my ancestors, and why y'all keep bringing up stuff that happened back then?
Martin Luther King.
Oh, so when the cop pull your behind over, and you stuck with a gun into your face because you didn't do anything, then are you gonna realize then?
But we also have to realize that racism is deeper than just the police. It is in our employment.
It's in our schools.
Like, let's just be honest. It's in our employment. It is in our
schools.
Because a lot of times, we get hired, especially Black women, with us making more money than Black men. We are a double minority.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're Black and we're female.
That's right.
And then you're immediately used as the, well, we have Black people.
Yes.
Yes. 1%. That 1%. Now you gotta have that 1% now.
We are a diverse company with their 2 Black people and 1,000 white. Like, let's be real.
Yes.
1%, baby. You only need 1%.
To me, it's this idea that people they think that because they do that, like, they deserve a freaking trophy or a cookie. It's like, so for doing the right thing, for just hiring somebody based off of qualifications. And this is why I feel like we should just get rid of names on resumes. Like, just get rid of
names and race.
We don't need. I don't think race should be on there at all.
Well, we're the only country who recognizes race. I grew up in Germany, and they don't do that. The census, we are the only country who lumps people into races, which is why I always put other. And until more white people start putting other, we're not going to get rid of it.
I put other too.
I think I'm gonna start putting other.
I don't know what I
know what I'm talking. I'm trying to retire.
Or if they have like an option of you do not want to say,
and now they're starting to get
right.
And that's the thing is these younger generations, they're demanding it. And it gets into this idea that, like you were saying, you mentioned school. And I am constantly bothered by school and how they teach, because it's not true history. And I myself, even this last year, I have learned so much, whether it's Tulsa, whether it's Central Park, whether it's Philly. Like, there are so many things that people just aren't taught because they don't.
I've seen so many movies and read so many articles last year, 2020, that really had me stunned.
13th. That's the one that I recommend to any person who's like, where do I start? Start at 13th and then come back and talk to me. Because if after you've watched 13th, if you can't understand how bad this, like, slavery didn't end, it just turned into a criminal justice system, and where
slavery is still here.
Yeah, it's still going on. The fact that there are two types of bail systems for black and white, like the fact, get rid of cash bonds, like these things are easy to do. It's people don't want them to do it because it's money. Like, when I think of what's his last name is Broader out in New York. Is it Kareem? He committed suicide after being in Rikers.
I know what you're talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
Basically spent like the majority of his time like in isolation or something like that.
Well, recently, Cuomo, because of all his stuff going on, so he's finally starting to try to do right by New York. He legalized marijuana and got rid of, I guess he put out there that he didn't want segregation. What is it called? I know what it is normally. Confinement, solitary confinement.
Solitary confinement, okay.
Stop that from happening, because this young man was arrested for stealing a book bag or something like that. He was in Rikers for 3 years, of which 2 he spent in solitary confinement.
And he didn't get that. That's the one. He didn't even go to court. He didn't even go to court, right?
Because it was found that he wasn't the person who did it, but he spent 3 years in jail to then get out.
And then he lost his mind.
Well, yeah, because
he really did.
Yeah.
She said that he would sleep in the closet.
Yeah.
Solitary confinement is torture of itself. I wouldn't want that even. It's horrible. And this idea that people who haven't even been convicted are sitting in jail, innocent until proven guilty.
Supposedly.
Supposed to be stood.
And then imagine all the things that they go through and experience in jail, because sexual assault is really high in prison. We have to talk about that.
And then all the stuff of being able to.
I have known some guys who went to prison who came out.
They go in good. There are people.
They went in all right, but Lord knows they came out totally different.
You're having to align yourself with whether it's gang members to stay safe. You're having to do the thing, and then if you do get out, you've sold your soul. Like, you've sold yourself, and there is nobody alive that could go into jail in the American justice system and not come out a changed person. Exactly. I don't care what race you are. Right. And until people start recognizing that, and that it's a for-profit system. If our jail systems weren't for-profit, we wouldn't have them. They wouldn't want them. But the fact that they're making money on these people, they keep them. And we're now seeing it with, immigration. With the last 4 years on how they started to do that. The more we get marijuana legalized, the more people we could get out of jail. When we get rid of these cash bonds, I really wish that they would start paying attention to that even more. If I am guilty of it, if I'm innocent until proven guilty, I should have a court date at home. I shouldn't be in jail if I'm not convicted.
Right.
There are people who go to jail, who sit in jail so long that when they're actually convicted of that crime, time is served.
Like, and you're free.
You're free. It's like, like, and then these plea deals that don't make sense. Like, it's just, the system was created to keep, again, Black folks suppressed even more, to keep.
Yeah, they pretty much scare you to just say, hey, I did it, even though I didn't do it, but hey, I did it. And that's because if I say I didn't do it and I'm trying to prove myself innocent, I'm going to get even more time.
Well, and now we're starting to see more and more people come forward who are actually acknowledging that they're planting evidence, that are, you know, with the fact that we all have our cameras in our hands, we're seeing police plant stuff, we're seeing, you know, it's proof cops don't stop crime.
Right.
Cops also don't solve crime. Like, that's facts. Like,
if that's the case, we wouldn't have Crime Stoppers.
They should.
if I could find people who served, who
pay me $5,000 to stop the crime.
I could find the identity of people who stormed the Capitol building in an insurrection before the FBI can, which I did, then you know what? We don't need them, because all we need is a bunch of white women who have been watching crime shows for their whole life because they're not happy in their life. Just solve it. That's who's going to solve these crimes, because we're bored. Like, I just, like, it's just stupid. Like, I spent days after that. They were like, we know exactly. You know, had those been Black
about the whole storming the Capitol.
Sure. Like,
please don't get me started with storming that Capitol.
Well, let's have a real conversation about it. And this is where I was proud of the news for actually speaking truth. They all were recognizing what happened, you know, with the Bible upside down Bible photo op, right? To the day January 6th. The news was saying if this was Black Lives Matter, it would be blood everywhere. Like, they would not even have
everybody be dead.
They'd still be picking up the bodies. They'll still be picking up the bodies.
Right. But the fact that there's actually they're releasing more information that they were told to stand down, the state police, because it's now being more and more is coming out. That's why it took so long for the military to get out there. It's because
it was Senate corruption.
Oh, I believe that.
We know that based off of the tweets.
Right? Yeah.
Right. But I'm also sitting there thinking, like, as a security officer, I don't know if they would pay me that much for this.
Girl.
Well, you know what I mean? Like, I would be like, you know what? You guys don't pay me enough to deal with this.
The fact is the state Capitol Police was told to not use, like, I think they knew of the threat days before. But being military and understanding, you know, if there's a threat, you're not going to put your military on the outside just doing traffic stops. Their orders were not to protect the Capitol. Their orders were for traffic. That's it. So the minute that they allowed that protest, the Stop the Steal protest, inside that perimeter, you've lost any tactical advantage you have. So then it turns into another situation where they're waiting for orders to then respond, and the orders were delayed. And they were also told, I think the Capitol Police, they're saying they knew 2 days on the 4th about it, and they were told to use the least lethal force. So that's why you weren't seeing these people get shot until that one lady breached that door. The terrorist, we'll call her Babbitt or whatever her name was. And the fact that she was a veteran, you know, doesn't mean shit to me. She's a traitor to me. The fact that they were allowed to even breach the doors. Right. I remember seeing.
That's what I said.
Remember that photo op during the summer with when there were a lot of I think it was before the mayor did the Black Lives Matter plaza, where they had all of those military members who did not have any identifying numbers.
I remember that.
Identifying marks standing there.
Yeah.
Where were they?
Right.
Still waiting for them to show up. You know, it's just the system in of itself, and this is something that I say to all my friends. The snake is the deadliest when it's about ready to die. What we're seeing right now is systemic racism coming to a head. We're seeing people who are tired. We're seeing communities coming together based off of what is right versus race. Yeah. It is wrong. It is wrong. Like, nobody should be worried about okay, does my mama know where I am? Do I have my phone sitting, in my cup holder and not in my pocket? Do I have my ID sitting in my cup holder or my, those things should not have to be something that people have to think about. Do I have anything obstructing my view? Like I was driving down the road the other day and it was a Black mom and her daughter driving a car and her license plate frame was crooked. Just enough where you could, like, Michigan was kind of blocked out. The numbers weren't.
Enough to get pulled over.
I stopped traffic to tell her. I made her roll down her window, and she probably is looking at me like, "What's this crazy white woman doing?"
Right.
No, I'm Jessica, but I was like, "Baby," I said, "Your frame on your license plate is crooked. Please fix it. I don't want you to get stopped."
Right.
And she just looked at me. She's like, "Thank you." I was like, if you want to pull over, I could help you fix it, but just get somewhere and fix it.
Right. Get somewhere. Right. We can help you fix it.
But it was this idea that, like, I didn't want her to think I was a
But look where we're at now. We're having to do that.
Yeah.
Why? Sometimes I just get so frustrated because in my mind, I just keep saying, why are we still revisiting these same damn things until we vote certain people out?
Voting is where it starts. I don't feel like we're going to be able to do anything.
We got to get that out.
And that's why it's important. Like, anybody who turns 18 needs to be registered to vote. You can register to vote 6 months before, or 3 months in some states. You need to just immediately, people in the communities need to, like, be on top of it. If you need just an ID card, I will drive you. Let's go get it. But the problem is you need so many you need so many things to be able to get a driver's license or even an ID. Not everybody has their birth certificate. Not everybody has their,
And they know that.
Yeah, and that's the point. But I heard somewhere, and I may be wrong on this, but if they make ID a requirement to vote, they have to make getting an ID free for all Americans, because they put that fee on there to prevent people from getting it anyway.
Exactly.
But I think that I wish that teachers were able to do more involved in like in the classroom to teach about, let's go get your ID, like a freaking field trip. If you could go to a field trip in the South to a cotton field, a plantation, you should be able to go to the freaking DMV or Secretary of State.
That's right.
And
get you a driver's license, or not the driver's license, get you an ID.
Just to get you an ID. And the fact that, and to me, I think that in the military, I believe we could get it. Our children can get it at the age of 10. They can get IDs. Mm-hmm. I wish that they did the same thing for young kids just in America. Like, it's not that I want people to have to be identified. I want people to feel safe and secure with what they have, because I feel that is always an in for police officers. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, you don't have your ID on you?
And I would tell my students, make sure if you can't have a state ID, make sure you have your school ID.
Your student ID.
Your student ID.
And I think that more people, like, because again, things are being put more in our face. We have people that are recording. It's no longer the days where Rodney King was beat in public, where it was like a recording from far away. Like, people are actively involved and they're staying on top of it. They're not afraid of the police. Mm-hmm. And that's why they're more dangerous right now. It's because people are tired of them. People are tired of these cops. And even the ones, like the cops that are the good cops, they're getting tired. I've seen officers get their, like, on scene arrest another officer. I've seen the other day there was a woman.
And the good ones are quitting. They're leaving. There's a shortage right now.
Was it
you said the guilty ones?
No, the innocent ones, they're quitting.
The innocent ones are leaving because they don't want to tell.
Pretty much all my friends that were police officers, they no longer work for the police force.
Similar in the military.
They left.
It's similar in the military. I told you earlier with when I was assaulted, I told and I got in trouble because I happened to be underage and drinking. I was sexually assaulted and I got in trouble. He got promoted. Like, they don't create situations that allow you, and even that cop that I asked the questions to on TikTok, I was like, have you reported anybody? He's like, yeah, I've reported them. I was like, okay, like, are they still working? He's like, well, yeah, like, I just report. And
then they're deemed as a traitor then.
Right. Like, this blue wall of silence, or this, Like, it's this idea that telling to me, like, if I work in a place and I feel that I'm working with somebody who is unethical in healthcare, somebody who is dangerous in the field, I have the option to report them if they carry a license. I have the option to, if they don't carry a license, I have an option to report the doctor who carries the license. But the fact that we have these police officers who don't have anything, they literally have everything that works in their favor, police unions, like all of our taxpayer dollars that pay all these things. It's not like it's coming out of their pocket. And until it starts hitting their pocket, and until, like, if my car insurance, if I have to have car insurance for a vehicle, why shouldn't a police officer have to have insurance for killing, like, for all of that?
Right.
Like, part of me is like, and this is just an angle. I'm like, okay, well, if a cop pulls me over, he has insurance on that car. If that person gets shot, can they sue that insurance company in the car?
Good question.
They can.
I don't know, but maybe they should.
They should.
But you hear a lot of police officers say that they're scared to report it because, like, for example, if they have a partner that's like racist, some of them are like really scared because they like, well, this is the person who's supposed to have my back,
right?
You know, and
that's the issue.
You know, I can mess around and get
right.
shot,
and they will. And the
right.
fact, and that's what's so scary is that so many.
Right. I need him to help protect me.
Well,
yeah. So
and not if something jump off, I end up getting shot. You know, and basically getting shot by him because he got a different type of gun. He got hidden.
Or I'd have reported him and he'd have let somebody shoot me.
Or the planting, like all of a sudden again. And here's the thing: is if it's a black police officer, he's black first, a cop second.
That's very true.
In that situation, unless it's a benefit, and then he's a cop first and a black.
Then he's a cop, right?
Yes,
right.
And
That's
so in that moment, if that guy were to get shot, then it turns into, oh well, he was black.
like, right. And then here comes the media. Black police officer.
Yeah, it's this idea that
you know the media has to put the race in it.
But
black police officer.
But let's be real. Police aren't supposed to kill guilty people either.
No. But again, they're trying to kill.
And that's the thing, is like the justifications that come. Like the fact that people can look at somebody being killed and immediately justify their death as if that makes it okay. Like, and don't get me wrong, Christians are the worst. They're the white Christians right now. Like I don't even claim Christianity anymore. I'm spiritual. Don't put me in with them. I am not them. I don't want to be a part of that. And it's sickening because
they have a way of
twisting it.
Yeah. I was going to say that's
the best word.
A little bit differently, but yeah, that's a nice, clean way.
That's the thing. It's just this idea that, because they were committing a crime, they deserve to die. But we live in a country where it's supposed to be guilty and innocent until proven guilty, but yet you're justifying the death. That doesn't make sense to me, because if it, like Brock Turner, who was caught raping a girl, he was innocent until proven guilty, and then he was given probation even after he ran.
Right.
Because we didn't want to ruin his future. Or we got Brett Kavanaugh, who's sitting on the Supreme Court, who, we're just going to let him in. And then we got Amy Coney Barrett, who is now sitting on the Supreme Court, who doesn't have literally
no knowledge,
nothing other than being Republican. And this idea, and I don't want to. I feel that the people who are still claiming Republican at this point are just white nationalists or white nationalist sympathizers. I don't feel.
You know what's so funny about that? Black people used to be Republican.
Exactly, and then they switched part. That they did the flop,
and then they swapped.
And that's the thing. It's so funny because people are like, obviously social media and TikTok, like you get all kinds of stuff, and I always see like these stitches, which is just like seeing a TikTok and then somebody else commenting. And I don't have any of the crazy white supremacy people, but I always see like my Black Lives Matter people who are like calling out their bullshit. And this one person's like, well, the Democrats created the KKK. And I'm like, you know what? I've got one more time to do this before I literally throw somebody through a window. Like, I am so tired of this, like, well, Democrats. Like, no, well, Democrats, nothing. That was the Republic. now the Republican Party, and y'all are just taking off your hoods now, serving in Congress. So,
That's it.
like, you might as well just put, like, we know who you are. You just hide it with a Trump flag. Like,
yes, and then, you know what? Last year was like so odd for me because I'm originally from Michigan as well.
Okay.
But I was raised in a small town here in North Carolina. And I remember when racism used to be private.
Girl, in the living room. Just talk about
yes,
it.
You know what?
But
I've never seen where people are like really
I experienced racism when I was about 8 years old. My mom paid my mom. I used to think my mom was rich or something because I don't know where she.
Don't we all think our parents are rich?
What? So I used to go to this place called Friendly Town in the summer, where you can go and stay at a family's home for a week or two, and they, you learn about them and their heritage and all this sort of stuff. So I went to it was Massachusetts, and when I got there, I stayed with a white family. The wife till today, I can still see her face. Nice woman, but the husband, he was the cracker. He was. They got into a huge argument. I think it was my third day there, and the little girl was nice too. I still remember her blonde, pretty hair, everything. And they got into a huge, huge fight. And you always remember the bad things. And he said, "You better get that nigga out this house." I heard it. And that's the first time I have been identified as being a nigger because I grew up in New York and Harlem, and I never heard that because we were all niggas, if you ask me. But for some white person to say it the way that he said it, it stood out. And I realized, yeah, and I realized, oh wow, he's talking about me, and I'm a little girl. I'm getting flashbacks. Something can happen to me. I can be killed. We in a field. This is one house. You know what I'm saying? One house and all these fields. All I see is these blueberries on these doggone bushes that used to make me these little pies because I love blueberries and stuff. And I told her the next day, I said, I need you to call my mom. And she said, what's wrong? And I said, I heard what your husband said last night. She said, you did? I said, yes. I said, he called me a nigger. I said, and I need my mom. I don't want to stay here anymore. And she was like, it's okay, everything. I said, no. I said, even though I never said to her, anything can happen to me while you were asleep, I never said that to her. I felt it in my spirit. I felt it. And I was like, oh no, please get my mom. I stayed up they got in contact with my mom. And I think I stayed up for 2 days. My mom actually came and got me. And I stayed up for 2 days until my mama came and got me.
But that's your story is prime example of why I feel like with the adoption agency, like especially me being an adoptee, people really should take in consideration, especially when you're adopting children in homes where people are where they're not the same race. Yeah.
Right. Different race.
I forgot the name of that couple, but do you guys remember that story of that lesbian couple?
Yeah, they rolled the kids
and they killed like all their children or their adopted children.
She rolled them off.
Yeah. Do you remember
oh no.
I want to say it was back in 2018. Do you remember that picture that came out with that boy? He was hugging the police officer, he was crying. Like his adoptive mother's like drove off a cliff, I believe. Like,
wasn't it 7 kids?
I believe so.
And the white community still use that today. It's like, yes, white people love black children. Like, look, and they use that picture as like, well, look, yeah, white people adopt black people too. And it's like, she literally drove those babies off a cliff.
Yes. And they were like malnutrition, like she was starving them.
And they use that picture as an example of because they don't educate themselves. That's the thing, is they look at memes, they look at all these things of like, oh, it's the white savior mentality. And I think that foster care system is so messed up right now. Like, it's been messed up. I feel like there's so many lost
I've
babes.
always felt that way about the foster
And,
care system as well.
and I feel like there's a lot of, white saviors who want to come in and pretend to be these amazing parents while creating slave labor, like truthfully. And and I'm not saying all are like that, but I do feel that the foster care system is a major issue too. And it's,
well, we'll save that for the next go round.
yeah.
I don't know what happened.
You froze up for a while. You was looking like this.
I was telling her that they used that picture of those.
What happened? I got on a hot topic. They said no, ma'am.
So what's next on your list? What is your next to dos?
Me?
Yeah, run for office.
Well, that'd be nice. I do need to. The people here are very. I need to get more out in the community, and because our kids are virtual, it makes it really difficult to get to know people. Because we're definitely an anti-masking town. So it's hard to like get out there, and I don't want to just get out. I want to be able to get out there and get the people to get to know me.
Right.
So even if it's not 2022, it's 2024. But I do feel, and that's the thing. Right now, I'm in a place of like, what the hell do I do? I can post about it on Facebook. I can have these uncomfortable conversations with white people. I can do everything that I'm still doing, but it doesn't feel like enough.
Right.
And I was really active in the race down in Georgia and doing postcards and all these things. And how do I make that impact in a way that creates change? And I think right now I'm in a place of, I'm going to keep signing petitions. I'm going to keep donating. I'm going to keep doing everything I can. I'm going to do these interviews, like have these conversations. And I'm willing to have these conversations for people. Like I want these white women to recognize that they are just as, they're hurt just as much by the system as every other person.
Yes. Yeah. I say that all the time. Like, I say that all the time. Like, yes, as Black women, we are the double minority, but we are women. And people fail to realize that there are a lot of things that are against us as women.
So much. And
we're against ourselves.
Right. And this
some of us.
Yeah.
Well, and there's so much internalized misogyny that a lot of women carry. And I feel that a lot of it comes from religion. And
yes.
And when I see, we get to work now, like that, because I get to work, like that means that I'm equal. Like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? It's like, are we serious? Like, but it's really hard. And that's where I'm at. Like, I feel like a lot of these Christian women, because they don't believe in the same values I believe in, and they definitely don't worship the same Jesus. I think that until they are impacted, until the church is impacted, because the whole purpose of the church not being taxed and being tax exempt is because they're supposed to be putting the money back into the communities. I feel churches need to lose their tax exemption. I feel that they need to start taxing these churches to actually put towards these, there should be no Joel Osteens down in Houston. There shouldn't be that. $multi-million, but when Harvey hits,
multi-million-dollar pastors that hasn't done anything for their members. That is one of my biggest issues with churches, and I am, I practice Christianity. When I don't see a church doing any form of like community outreach, you don't give baskets to the elderly, you don't give care package to the homeless,
veterans,
nothing.
Right.
Well,
but we're building something over here,
They'll be driving that Mercedes Benz, living in a nice house.
Right.
We're gonna save that church topic for another time.
Girl, we going off on another 5 hours.
Tangent.
I'm gonna thank you so very much for coming on A Right to Shine. I'm so glad to be in the midst of your world and how we just wonderful. I mean, this is my sister. We call each other sisters all the time. I just love her to death. I am so glad we met. We will always stay connected. Please keep, you're going to keep me posted on what's going on. I think we need to start our page back. I do. I think we need to start our page back. You know me, I'm always about awareness and letting people know what's going on. It doesn't matter to me. I'll find time to do something because that's all I know how to do is just work.
We got to get these youngins. We got to keep these youngins safe.
Got to keep the youngins safe and aware of what's going on. We cannot continue to let them turn a blind eye. They need to see it heads on what's coming so that they know how to handle every situation, no matter what that situation may be. And we're not saying we're against black or we're against white. That doesn't have anything to do with none of this. It's just the mere fact. It's sad that we have to have the conversation.
We have to basically take their innocence away.
And we have to take that innocence away.
To keep them safe.
To keep them safe.
Yep. I was talking to Andrew about Dante Wright. And I know we got to go, but I really want to tell this story really quick. His picture flashed up on the screen and I saw my son, light skin, and he knew how something was not right. Like he knew that Mama's not good. And I had to have that conversation. He goes, yeah, Mom, like if the cops stop me, I know, I said, I don't care. I said, let him put you in cuffs. Let him take you to jail.
My son said the same thing.
I said, baby, I want you alive. I will hire the best attorneys. I don't care what they say. Yes, sir. Cuff. I don't care. I want you alive. I want you home. Mama will deal with it. He said, but you told me I'm not, I can't get into trouble and I can't go to jail. I said, baby, I know how I raised you.
Right.
And I know that if you're sitting in jail, it's because you did it. I want you home and I want you alive.
Exactly. And I told my son the same thing as he was growing up. Like I said, he's a grown man now, but I told him the exact same thing. Don't you say a word. Whatever they tell you to do it. Okay? Get out the car. Put your hands behind your back. I want you alive. Don't worry
about your pride and ego.
Don't worry about all that. Don't worry about your pride and ego. Ego. You're right. Ego. Don't worry about that at all. I got you.
Right. I will get the best attorney. I know people.
Right. I know people.
I'm calling your aunties, boo. Don't you worry. I'm calling all your aunties.
Right. Thank you. We will be sending out our gifts. We've been taking a month. We had like a month off, I think. So we're back in action again. So we'll get those gifts out to you. I just need you, Marcia, you get in contact with Jessica and get her address. So you can give her gift.
If you want me to come back on, you just let me know date and time.
I will. I will. We're going to definitely have a part 2. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it.
Be safe, ladies. Bye.